colleague of mine, Chip Coldiron. But before he takes the podium, I want to say a few words about Chip. I've had the pleasure of watching Chip grow into the man he is today. From the time he went out for the 7th grade football team that I coached at the time, been a few years ago, through his freshman year on St. Francis's inaugural football team. Sports have been an important part of Chip's life, whether playing or coaching. Chip's qualities of intelligence, toughness, and dependability have stood him in good stead for his future life. After completing a dual major at IU with a BS in biology and a BA in economics and political science, Chip enlisted in the United States Army. Between 2005 and 2010, he was twice deployed in a combat role to Afghanistan during Operation Enduring Freedom. After leaving active duty in 2010, Chip returned to IU, where he completed a Master's of Education degree in 2012. Since 2012, Chip has been a science and social studies teacher, first at Edgewood High School, and for the past 4.5 years at Norwell High School. Chip has a keen sense of duty and an overarching desire to be of service to his community, his nation, and to his family. They say that the character of a man is best displayed when no one is watching. I can say with certainty the public face of Chip Coldiron is the same as the private face that he shows to his wife Candace and his son Katie. Chip will never seek to give offense. He will listen to the viewpoints of all stakeholders, but he will also never shy away from making the tough decisions and stating the hard truths. It is with great honor and pride that I present to you my colleague and my good friend, Mr. Chip Coldiron.
Before we get going, I just want to say thank you to Mark and Teresa for the introductions. They're too humble to say this themselves, but between the two of them, they have over 70 years of experience in education. So it means a lot to me for you two being here. I also want to say thank you to everyone for coming out tonight. It means a great deal for you to come out here, especially in this really cold weather, right? Okay. So why are we here tonight? All right. So we are here to officially announce my candidacy as a U.S. representative for Indiana's 3rd Congressional District. Many have asked, why run? Why Congress? Why are you running now? My answer to that question is simple. I want to be your voice on Capitol Hill. I want to make our community better for all who live and work here. Everywhere I go, I want to know how I can make your life better. When you see me in the community, stop me in the grocery store, stop me in a restaurant, stop me in a ball game. Tell me what's on your mind. Tell me how I can make your life better. I will be sure to put your thoughts to paper and bring them with me to Washington. Making my community better is what I've been doing for the past 22 years as a career public servant. I've helped to take care of the sick in their time of need as a healthcare worker in various hospitals throughout the state of Indiana. I've helped protect our country by serving in the United States Army, including 2 deployments to Afghanistan. And for the past 7.5 years, I have educated your sons and daughters in schools throughout our great state. As a former healthcare worker, I have seen devastating effects of lack of adequate healthcare insurance. Many of those that I've had the opportunity to take care of have asked the question, how am I going to pay for this? As your representative, my goal is to ensure that everyone in our community has affordable healthcare. This begins by fixing and healing the Affordable Health Care Act, not by repealing it and replacing it with nothing in its stead. In addition to fixing and healing the Affordable Health Care Act, I believe it's our duty to fix the American gun problem. As a teacher, every single day, I'm grateful for my school and my classroom to have survived another day and not have suffered a mass shooting. Gun violence in our country is at an all-time high and must be dealt with by closing the loopholes that make it possible for anyone to buy a semi-automatic weapon on a moment's notice. Make no mistake, I'm not trying to take away everyone's guns. I'm a firm believer in the fact that responsible adults have the right to possess weapons for self-defense and hunting purposes. I myself am a gun owner as well. However, military-grade weapons should be just that, owned and operated by the military and law enforcement personnel. In addition, I believe finding creative solutions to solve our community's environmental problems is imperative. Farmers throughout the 3rd District are beginning to suffer from periods of excessive rainfall followed by insatiable droughts. Solutions to these problems must be found in order to not only continue to provide food for our community and our nation as a whole, but also for the farmer to continue to make a living. If local farmers continue to suffer from the wrath of Mother Nature, many of them will be forced to abandon their vital profession. This is simply unacceptable. As your congressional representative, I'm going to sit down, listen, and help find solutions that the farmers believe will save their vital industry. Likewise, as a teacher, I believe in education. Education is the key to progress. Progress in healthcare, progress in our factories, and progress in our farmlands. Unfortunately, a post-secondary education now comes with a steep price tag. The cost of a college education has raised 200% over the last 20 years. This has caused many young adults to take on massive amounts of student loan debt in hopes of making life for themselves and their family better. It is our duty as a government to help those who are suffering from such debt. Imagine if Franklin Roosevelt, with the Great Depression, said, "That's not my problem." Or if Lincoln, with the outbreak of the Civil War, said, "Who cares?" As a nation, we cannot afford to idly stand by and watch those who are being overwhelmed by student debt crumble under its weight. To clarify, I'm not advocating for the government to simply start handing out money for those who still owe for their college education. Instead, it's my intention to help the federal government develop unique solutions that will help diminish the amount of student loan debt owed by individuals. Finally, I would like to add that the 2020 election will be a turning point in our nation's and our community's history. Will we begin to listen to those who live in our community to find out how we can solve Hoosiers' everyday problems? Or will we continue to toe the party line in hopes of maintaining power? For our community's sake, for our family's sake, and for our future's sake, I hope that we begin to sit down in political gridlock and actually help Hoosier families of Northeast Indiana as well as those throughout the country. Before I open it up for questioning, I would like to say thank you all for coming again tonight. Thank you to my staff, and most importantly, thank you to my family, my wife, my son, my mom, and all my other family members that couldn't make it here tonight. Feel free to ask me any questions, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.